Hello there, my name is Ichiro Hazama from Square Enix, and today we'll be talking about Theatrhythm Final Fantasy Curtain Call, the game you can see behind us. This game basically takes some of the best music from across the entire Final Fantasy series and creates a very interesting and unique rhythm action game from it. Yeah, let's hope we have a good interview.
優れた楽曲を集めて作ったリズムゲームになります。よろしくお願いします。
Why did you decide to make a sequel to the first Theatrhythm?
原作のシアトリズムの続編を作るのは、なぜなんでしょうか。
そうですね。なんでしょう。前作作ってその。
When we were creating the original Theatrhythm, we were happy with how it worked, but we had ideas that we could do even more with the game and with what was there. So we could have even more songs, even more tracks in there, and expand the gameplay and really expand on how players could come together and communicate and play with each other. So we thought there was a lot more we could do with Theatrhythm, and that's how we decided on we're going to make a second game.
Tell us what the exact difference between the two games.
じゃあ、原作と今回のカーテンコールの、一番の違いをちょっといくつかreally tried our hardest to expand it and make a really deep and broad offering of songs. So in the original game you had just under 100 tracks to choose from, but in the new game we've added 200 loads more. We've got 221 tracks you get in the basic package, which I think is quite an amazing number. And then on top of that, the next major thing we wanted to do was really bring out the old traditional kind of enjoyment you get from classic RPG games like the original Final Fantasy games. And in order to do that, we've introduced the Quest Medley mode, which involves travelling along a little map, completing stages and having a little mini adventure as part of the game, which really I think adds to that and brings out the feel of an old style RPG. And then the third really large improvement and big thing we've added this time is the versus mode, so players can play against each other.
Yeah, the first game was also the 3DS. Why did you again choose the 3DS as a platform?
ですね、原作もそうですけども、なぜ今回も3DS のみのゲームにしたんでしょうかね。
そうですね。ファイナルファンタジーのいろんなところから曲をっていうお話をさせていただいたかと思うんですけど、ファイナルファンタジーってその27年その歴史があるんですね。
Yeah, the thing about the Final Fantasy series is that it's been going for such a long time now, 27 years, and obviously among the fans of Final Fantasy there's going to be people who were playing the series right from the beginning, and if they started back then they're going to be a certain age by now, and you get some quite older people who really remember the early Final Fantasies, and then on the other hand you've also got some quite younger people who maybe started on the more recent ones, so everyone's got their own Final Fantasy, and it's got a very broad time period with a lot of different age groups.
We already have two Final Fantasy themed Theatrhythm games. Are there any plans to do more or even with other franchises?
ですね、これでシアトリズムシリーズの2作になるんですけども、これからじゃあ新しいファイナルファンタジーのシアトリズム I really do want to continue the Theatrhythm series. That's something I'm very interested in doing. And I think if we do continue the series, it'll probably be with different IPs, use different game franchises for the base. For the Final Fantasy Theatrhythms, what we've done this time, we really tried to put in everything that we thought we should and tried to achieve everything that we could with Final Fantasy on this title. And I think we have achieved that to a very good degree. So for the future, the future of the Final Fantasy Theatrhythm Final Fantasy series, I'd like to know. I think that the best idea is to just continue to expand on it using DLC to add extra tracks into the game and just extend it in that way. But when we move on and do another full Theatrhythm game, I'd like it to be with different IPs. At the moment we don't have any plans. We're not considering porting it to other platforms at this time. I think the future of how we're going to expand the series, rather than having it on as many different types of hardware as possible, we really want to concentrate our efforts into having the Theatrhythm that we've created now and expanding on that with downloadable content to really bring it into something as full and as complete as we can.
I've got a little personal question. Can you name your personal favorite song of the Final Fantasy series?
じゃあ個人的な質問に入るんですけども、it's a very interesting question. I always like when people ask me this one because, in actual fact, there is one particular song from Final Fantasy that was sort of the inspiration for doing the Theatrhythm games, which, again, one of my favourite Final Fantasies is Final Fantasy VI, and I can specifically remember the scene from Final Fantasy VI where it's very close to the opening, actually, where you see the Magitech armoured troops advancing through the snowfield at the very beginning with staff roll and the credits appearing just in the front of the screen. And in the background you can certainly hear the music, which is Terra's theme song in the back. That's it's really, really powerful. And I really still remember that's one of my favourite moments from Final Fantasy, and I must say that's probably my favourite song from all of Final Fantasy. And it was that song that really was the inspiration for me wanting to create Theatrhythm in the first place.
Yes. Were there any Final Fantasy games you couldn't implement in a game, or it was difficult to implement in a game?
まあですね、yeah, there are a number of titles. Obviously, the sheer number of spin-off titles in the Final Fantasy series is massive, and obviously there were some that we couldn't include. If you name specific titles, I think ones that I might perhaps have liked to have put in there, Dirge of Cerberus would be one of those, and then also something maybe I was asked earlier this time at Gamescom was about the Chocobo's Magic Dungeon series, and again, sorry, the Chocobo's Dungeon series, and again, some people consider that as Final Fantasy, and some people think it's not quite Final Fantasy. So that's a bit of a borderline one. But in actual fact, obviously, one of the good things though is the fact that we've set up the game so it can be expanded using DLC. And I think one of the main reasons for using DLC is because we can now go back and add in those ones that if we want to do them again in the future. So we've sort of got that covered as well.
そういった意味ではまだまだこれからいけるかなと思ってます。
今日は素晴らしいインタビューありがとうございました。
いや全然こちらこそありがとうございました。
Thanks for coming. Thanks for asking those good questions. Cheers.
ありがとうございます。
Thank you very much.